Hey guys, this is George Remus here with a new build for Onslaught Level 4 using Ultimate Blair with his newly rebalanced backdraft mod and Truly Deadly Arson beam rifle. These two things together are quite amazing. You'll be able to do plenty of ad clear on low tier enemies as well as help focus on the harder, heavier enemies. If you learn anything, find anything interesting, or have any questions, feel free to comment down below, like the video, subscribe to the channel to help support channel growth. Without further ado, let's get into it. Starting off, we're going to talk about the Transcendent mod itself, backdraft. If you don't know what this does, it kind of makes Blair a firearm descendant, and it changes your 1, 2, 4, and your passive ability to support that. His one ability, Blaze Up, actually gets a really cool effect that will spawn on enemies not even like right under you, so it creates plenty of flame zones, sometimes all the way up to like 40 or 50 of them in Onslaught. It's actually pretty crazy. His 2 ability, even though it's not in the description, it does give you some health recovery as well as MP recovery and some weak point damage increase, which is really nice. You will also get some firearm attack increase, explosive attack increase, and there is a beam rifle special effect that when you shoot an enemy, it does damage based off of your skill power. It's very, very nice. It also has a multiplier for it. It's one of the primary ways we're going to be doing damage with Blair. Your 4 ability is a giant fireball that breaks off into smaller fireballs. Not too much different there. It's really just the flame zones that are super affected here. And then your passive gives you critical hit damage increase, firearm critical hit damage increase, reload time modifier, which we won't be reloading too much, skill critical hit rate increase per stack, which goes up to 6 stacks. This is going to be your passive. I'll demonstrate it in a moment. And then firearm critical hit rate increase per stack is also 6. So these things together make Blair a crit across the board, which is really nice. For the trigger mod, we have arche reflux. This is brand new. I don't have double gold yet, but don't you worry, I will, because what this does is when you use a fire enhancement type skill, you gain arche reflux. While it is active, attacking a target that has taken damage from ground damage over time, which is your 1 and your 4, it triggers additional damage based off of your skill power up to 20, almost 3,000. So this is actually just huge bonus damage. You're going to be throwing flame zones anyway. This is so good with backdraft. It was actually made for backdraft. I haven't tested anybody else to see if they can vibe with it, but for Blair, it's a must. Quick demonstration of everything I just talked about here in the lab. You are going to use your 1 ability. You will see the ground effects applying to Vulgus even not nearby. This is amazing in Onslaught. It is affected by your range, by the way. You will see your stacks on your passive over to the right. Right now I have 30 stacks. If you use your 2, which is the primary buff that we want, it consumes 6. This heals you, gives you your MP back, and gives you that weak point damage. You will also be getting your critical hit damages based off of how many stacks you have, up to 6. Another important detail is once you have 6 stats of the buff, which you can see to the left of Blair, even sucking up 1 zone, which I'm not doing here, will refresh the perk. So it's not a massive issue if you don't keep up your flame zones. You're just going to be losing damage with your trigger mod. But yeah, this is what it's going to look like in practice. All right, for the Ancestor mod, I'm running HP, critical hit rate, and critical hit damage. You do not need the HP and the critical hit rate. Both of these things help out with survivability and free up some other mod slots. It's just not what I would prefer. What I would want is a skill critical hit damage and then a dimension skill ratio with some kind of negative that's not fire skill power boost ratio. That really hurts. This build does benefit from things like skill power modifier for both fire and dimension skills, so keep an eye out for that. What you really want is skill critical hit damage. If you do have a critical hit rate and a critical hit damage mod like I do, you can actually make some changes in the build to take advantage of that. I just feel like it's a really wasted stat on the Ancestor mod, but it's still usable if you have one. Talking about that, if you do not have skill critical hit rate, you are going to want to put emergency measures here. If you have skill critical hit rate, you can put either front lines here for a little bit more damage or increased HP for some more health, but that is up to you based off of your Ancestor mod. Going from there, for damage, we have focus on fire for a little bit of skill cooldown and boost ratio. Skill simplification, this does eat our MP, but we don't care about that because we have constant MP recovery we're going to be taking advantage of. We also are going to be running Dangerous Ambush because there's a lot of targets in Onslaught between you and defenses, so you're going to have this up quite often. For cooldown, we have MP conversion. You can use one of the new mods if you want, so you don't eat the MP. But this works just fine. You're going to have MP recovery the whole time. You're not giving up defense or shields or HP, so this is really nice. Nimble Fingers. For range, we got skill effect range and the new bio expansion. This gives HP, so it's a bit more survivability, which is why I really, really like this mod. I foresee me using this a lot in the future. For our weapon, we're going to be looking at Truly Deadly Arson. This is basically Ultimate Blair's gun. It released the same time as him, and it has some special effects that really only he can take advantage of, and we'll get to that in a minute. Starting off looking at the cores, I am running a fire rate, fire attack, fire rate on this build. You have so much ammo, and your ammo will reload for you that as much fire rate is a huge advantage because it's going to be more damage per shot. Can't recommend anything else. This is going to be what you want on your cores. For your readjustment, we have firearm critical hit damage, fire attack, and firearm attack with weak point damage to boot. You don't need critical hit rate here. We're going to have 100% critical hit rate with this weapon while using Blair anyways. For the modules, we have fire enhancement, better concentration for critical hit damage, better insight for critical hit rate, edging shot for critical hit rate, concentration priority for critical hit damage, action reaction, rifling reinforcement, fire rate up, weak point sight. With this setup, you will have 100% crit rate as long as you have the 6 stacks of Blair's passive ability. And then for our ultimate mod, we're going to be running superheated plasma on consecutive hits on the same target, which you will be doing with this gun. You get fire attack and defense reduction up to 20 stacks on enemies, so this will enable you to do more damage. As long with the weapon itself, as long as you're shooting the same target, which you will be using the firearm itself for like the elite enemies and the tyrants more than anybody. Going over the unique abilities of Truly Deadly Arson in case you're not sure how it works. This first effect right here, we don't really care about it. What this does is when you shoot an enemy, they get a hit with void fire, and then when a burn effect, which is everything that Blair does, is applied to somebody already affected by void fire, it explodes, dealing damage and turns it to Inferno. Inferno is basically a way to stop void fire from triggering multiple times on the same enemy. Another important thing here is it only fire attack can be applied to the weapon. Every other attribute, being poison, electricity, or chill, gets converted to fire, so you can't brute force opposite elements on the flamethrower, so you can't take advantage of the weaknesses to the fact that like the Legion of Darkness are weak to chill. The part that we care about is this: using a fire skill grants heat stacking, and that eventually will convert into combustion. All of Blair's abilities here will get bonus, that I'll show you down here, will get bonus damage at max stacks. So you get 3 stacks of this, 3 stacks of this, and it's continuous damage type based skill power boost ratios. So it's just more skill power for Blair just by holding this weapon, let alone the fact that we're going to be shooting it. Looking at the reactor and components, there is something I want to talk about here with the reactor. We are running a Dimension Fire. I have skill cooldown and skill critical hit damage. If you want, if your ancestor mod, for example, has skill cooldown attached to it, you can drop this skill cooldown for if you need more critical hit rate. You can run critical hit rate here, or you can run Dimension skill power boost ratio here. The new target for skill power cooldown is 75% instead of 90, so you have a little bit more freedom with stuff like that. So with my build, I need skill cooldown and critical hit damage. If you have skill cooldown on your ancestor mod, I would drop it off of this because you're going to probably have too much skill cooldown. For the component set, you want a 4-piece firebrand. If you don't know how this works, it will reduce enemies' resistances to fire by 30%. If you use a burn related effect, which everything Blair does, including Truly Deadly Arson, counts as this. So you will have this up as long as you're dealing damage. An important note though is only one descendant can take advantage of this at a time. Everybody gains the effect, but multiple people running Firebrand does not add multiple stacks of resistance down. It's still only that 30%. So if you have multiple fire-based descendants in your team, I would recommend you switch to Slayer. Regardless of which set you're running, your cores, you want max HP on all 4 and defense on all 4. For your substats, you want max HP, max MP recovery in combat, max MP, defense, MP recovery modifier. For your processor, I like item acquisition distance increase. That's up to you, you don't have to run that. And then shield recovery modifier. Looking at your arcade board, there's a couple things I want to go over. So first, the easy thing is to make sure you grab all the skill power you can. As you see here, I have all 3, 1, 2, 3, plus the enhanced skill power. This range is also really nice with Blair's 1 ability. It helps you get more of those flame zones out. If your ancestor mod has critical hit rate, or you're getting your critical hit rate from your reactor, you don't need these 3. So these can be freed up depending on what your ancestor mod is. If it is freed up, I would just go for the HP like so. The mutant cell that I'm running is Fire Chain Catalyst. If you are thinking arche overheat shield would be very good, I don't find it very often in Onslaught Level 4 with Blair that my max shield is greater than 50%. If you're able to achieve that, go for this instead. Otherwise, Fire Chain Catalyst, it's going to reduce the enemy's defense to fire even more, allowing you and your team to do more fire-based damage. There is nothing substantial about the inversion reinforcement that I'm using. I do have precision shot, firearm critical hit rate or hits give you critical hit damage for your weapons. I'm running the hardened shell for incoming damage, so you take less damage, as well as combat adaptation. This will also help you take less damage. Onslaught, enemies hit hard, and there's a couple big attacks. These two in themselves will help you survive that. Some final thoughts for Onslaught, particularly level 4. The first 2 waves of the first dungeon segment have some new elites that I've never seen before with a new buff. It's a green looking square with a white looking shield. I don't 100% know what it does, but I do know it stops you from applying crits to them. Those will be your greatest weakness. They are only in round 1, 2, and the first damage segment. So if you can get past that, you're going to be fine with this build. Secondly, you are going to be really strong at area control with this build. You can help out with tyrants, but it seems like the strategy is to just ignore them unless your team's really pushing for them. Just keep in mind, the more tyrants you kill, the more fragments you get, which can help you out in the later rounds. So in public queue, if you see people fighting the tyrants, feel free to help them out. But if everybody's ignoring them, I wouldn't be the only one participating in that. And when it comes to card selection, I like 1 outgoing damage modifier and 1 skill power boost. Those 2 things I think are priorities 1 and 2. After that, either get more skill power, more outgoing damage modifier, or for comfort, I've been going after a defensive skill. Defensive master honestly is amazing. It's 90% damage reduction. Something of that nature can really come in clutch at the end. I don't think I'd push for that going through Onslaught, but for like the last pick, that's pretty awesome. The damage to elites, tyrants, colossi, and commanders are also really good. I kind of skipped the commander one because there's only, I think, 4 commanders through the whole thing. They're the bosses with the HP bar that takes up the middle of your screen. I don't feel like it's worth taking a card just for them, but those other 3 are awesome choices. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, feel free to comment them down below. I'll do my best to reply to each and every one of them as fast as possible. If you enjoyed the video or learned anything, consider liking and subscribing to the channel to help support that channel growth. I will be back with some more Onslaught Level 4 builds with some other descendants. As long as I feel like they are efficient and worth using in public queue, I will make the video for it. I also plan on doing some extreme colossi video builds in the future as well. Until next time, I hope you guys have fun with Ultimate Blair and the first Descendant and particularly in Onslaught.